Today we're talking about the very topical and very awful Halo television show.
Well, yeah, the whole reason we're doing this video is because before I was about to have lunch.
Yep.
And when we started a discussion, we thought, why the heck are we doing this at lunchtime?
Yeah.
This is content for you all.
Yeah.
So we, my lunch is in the microwave, ready to get heated up after this bit, but there's some things I want to talk about because it wasn't a debate, but we were definitely having a discussion about our different perceptions about episode 1.
Our specials.
Perceptions. Yeah.
Yes.
Because we're talking, or it kind of sparked off of the violent scene we saw.
Yeah. We have a recording that I'm working on of us watching for the first time the Halo TV show, and Nathan, you would not believe how you've seen it actually, so you would believe it. You would believe it because you saw it, unless it's a shared delusion. But his face just lit up when people were getting blown apart.
Yeah, the teenagers.
Yeah, the teenagers.
The kids that were high.
Yeah.
Mostly because I was glad that they weren't going to be in the episode any longer.
Yeah.
But
also for their sins of getting high. They probably engaged in premarital sex at one point.
Oh, definitely,
I'm
for sure.
glad they're dead.
Knowing how work this show's going to be.
Exactly. Yeah. In fact, it's now a sin to be a virgin. It's like if you're a virgin.
What are you doing with your life?
Yeah, exactly. If you don't have at least 15 sexual partners by the time you're 15...
what's your body count? If it's 0...
Yeah. Yeah. Unironically, Master Chief's a virgin, and he has the highest body count of anyone. Anyway, but yeah, we're talking about that, and I said to Nathan that, you know, man, the gore and people losing arms and getting blown up just didn't feel like Halo for me. It would feel like Halo if that was a scene with the Flood, because I said that for Halo, there are various different themes and atmospheres and vibes depending on who is on screen in the game. If it's humans, it's very light-hearted, a bit jovial, you know, everyone...
Marines, you know, Marines.
Yeah, well, even that, like, between, like, beginning of Halo 2, when they're doing the award ceremony, still very light-hearted, very jovial, you know? Covenant on screen, very somber, very serious. It's like you walked into Vatican... And everyone's just like, yes, the hierarchs, blah, 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 blah. You know, like, very serious, right? Music reflects it. And then when the Flood are on screen, everybody their pants.
Yeah, everyone's just like, what is this? Wow! Like, it's basically like Alien or Predator or something. Everyone's just...
Yeah. Except
like
instead of the facehugger jumping on and then, like, 18 hours later something pops out, it's something jumps onto you, takes control of your body while you're still alive in it, moves your arms to make you break your own neck and kill yourself, and then your limpless, you know, body just starts killing everyone else that you know. And it's all incredibly painful.
Yeah. Look, I agree with you in that in the games when it's just the humans or the Covenant, you know, they're either being jovial and funny or Solomon stuff, and when the Flood show up, you know,
it's horrifying.
It's chaos for everyone.
Yeah.
The whole reason why the Halo rings were made was to destroy the Flood.
Yes.
I think they there's also the element of when the humans and when the Marines or humans and the Covenant are together, obviously there's conflict as well.
Yeah, they're fighting. But it's like a camaraderie between the humans.
Yeah, and the aliens. But it's still violent. Like, growing up, my parents always like, oh man, he's played Halo now, it's too late to like stop him. But it was still a violent game, and I still killed a lot of people on my team and on the aliens, and there was lots of blood and gore and violence. And I remember... when you kill a Flood, you can basically just
destroy their body,
the whole limbs and stuff.
And you probably should. That's the smarter move.
Yeah. But growing up, I was like, man, why can't I do that with Marines and Covenant? And then growing up, I realized, well, if you do that, then the rating goes up to be, you know, restricted. Yeah.
And also, but that us talking about that really got us thinking, like, what would we do for a Halo TV show?
Yeah. And you said you would focus more on experiences and exploring.
Well, that's the thing, is I wouldn't focus on the combat.
Yeah.
Not at first. Like, think of Game of Thrones, right? Medieval, fantasy, war.
Yeah.
War isn't the focus. The power dynamics is the focus.
Yes.
The political intrigue is the focus. What I think Halo needs as the focus is exploration, like the TV show. This is what I do for the TV show. Think about Lord of the Rings, right? Between battles, they're walking, kayaking, riding horses, and what happens when they're doing that? What do you see on screen? See long panning takes of beautiful country, New Zealand. my represent my home. I've got a little green heart. So you see beautiful long shots, and it plays incredible music at the same time. Halo is known for incredible music,
yes,
and it is known for very long.
It has beautiful vistas too. Like,
exactly.
When we played the game, there was parts where you go out and you see the horizon, and you're like, "Holy crap!"
And
this is beautiful.
Yeah, and that is exactly why if I was doing the Halo TV show, one, I wanted to save money, make it good. I would have it so that like the main thing is them going to places, setting up camps, or securing locations, and between that you have all the shots of them riding the warthogs and flying in the pelicans and all the beautiful music and all the beautiful landscapes, and that would be one of the bread and butters for the show, just like it was for Lord of the Rings, and it was incredible. When you see, think about it, right? I'll show you after this.
I know. I've seen the shots.
Yeah.
I was going to say, as someone, when watching it, wasn't as big of a Lord of the Rings fan, I watched it when I was like 12, I'm going to say, 12, 14. Mm-hmm. Look, not going to lie, there's panning shots on for a very long time. It's like the Star Trek movie you've seen. I forgot which one it is. But basically, the first 10, 15 minutes is just them going up and down a spaceship.
Yeah.
Just showing off.
Well, see,
which I get the beauty of it, and I get people who love the stuff really get it, but I think as well, for me, I would focus less on that and more on just the juicy content.
Let me be clear.
Yeah.
The scenes go from place to place, right? For any movie or TV show, right?
Yeah.
For Lord of the Rings, it was like, okay, when they find Gandalf the White, they're running, they're chasing the orcs, they find the tracks, they go into the forest and they talk to Gandalf for a bit, and then they ride off to Edoras, and then there's like a 30-second thing of them just riding, and it's gorgeous.
Like,
right?
I think
that will be the thing that
Rings
separates the scenes for me.
Yeah, for me, Lord of the Rings, it fits perfectly well because it is a fantasy, they're going on an adventure, and it is them going through its terrain. Like, half of the journey is just going there. Like, part of me, and I always bring this up with Oz, with, conveying experiences. Last of Us Part 2, issues with the game, but it did do one thing right, which is they wanted people to feel tired, angry, frustrated, and just the way they did that was by letting out the game to be so freaking long. By the time you get to the end, you just like, let it finish, and so you felt like Ellie at the end of the game. And again, that's the same thing with Lord of the Rings, is that you feel like you've been on a journey because you've felt like you've seen them literally trek through woods and mountains,
the entire world,
like a whole biome of things.
Rings,
so you feel it, and so I think definitely there's a place for it. Just as a viewer personally, it wasn't my thing, and it's just me.
And I understand, people have short attention spans, but I just mean as a way to punctuate the transition between
I think that's
scenes.
perfect. That's perfectly.
And there's a lot of driving around in Halo anyway, moving between combat zones.
Yeah,
and stuff
that's basically what you're talking about in game.
Yeah, and it'd be a good way to show off the vistas, the music, everything like that. And so that's what I do for as well as if I was to pick like a style of direction for like the combat, like the fighting, I would pick Neil Blomkamp's. Is that how it's pronounced? Blomkamp? Do you know that guy, Neil Blomkamp?
No, I don't.
The guy who directed District 9. He's also doing the
Okay,
Oats.
he was the one that was going to do.
He was going to do the Halo movie. Yeah. You've seen Oats on is it Oats Studio?
No.
Wow, you haven't seen that?
No.
I thought you'd be all into it.
I don't. Maybe
Basically,
I am.
He's this solo director he's going around to different production houses, people who do special effects and stuff like that. He's just making short films, and they're all really actually decent. And he's just getting them from all different places and working with all different people, and he's doing an incredible job. This is like, it's I don't know how to describe it. Ground up filmmaking. Like, this is.
Should check it out then.
Yeah, you honestly you'll like it because this guy he works with everyone and he does a great job and he's a great director. I don't think, because District 9 was great because that was his home,
Yeah.
But anyway, the way he films combat is really visceral, and I'd like to see that for Halo. He already did it for the landfall thing, the trailer, and it was great. And so good. So it's unfortunate that we didn't get to see any more of that. Yeah. But that's what I'd do. What about you, man?
I would definitely. I thought about this, and I think I would have Season 1 of Halo be the first Halo game, but have it be like 20, 30-minute episodes, very short.
I disagree, however. I'd like to disagree. I'd like them to do Contact Harvest, and it would be much more. It would save them money, and it would be exactly what the fans would want, and it would give us a much deeper understanding of the lore.
I think I would have to read the book first for me to incorporate that. But if someone handed me the rights to the Halo TV series, the first thing I'd do is just make the Halo games. Because guess what? There's people who haven't read It makes sense as well because TV shows is a medium where people more commonly can watch.
I get it.
Books, not as much. You need to do more research and stuff like that. And so I think making Contact House a TV series would be an awesome opportunity because then guess what? People are going to go read the book as well.
Yeah.
And it's something new. So people who've played Halo, they're not watching the Halo game. They're watching the Halo universe expand. But for me personally, I would love to just to see those experiences I had as a kid in the Halo game on TV and just to feel that in a modern aspect.
I understand. Thing is though, the guy who wrote Contact Harvest, Joe Staten, he's one of the head guys at Bungie. Like he wrote a lot in terms of like the cutscenes. He wrote most of those things, right? So the writing style very similar. The way the characters interact, identical, right?
Yeah.
It's the start of the Human Forerunner. That's not canon. The Human Covenant War, right? The main character is Johnson. So there you go. You've got a black main character who we'd all love.
Yeah.
You know, it shows a more nuanced take on the insurrection versus UNSC. The UNSC aren't just evil bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
The insurgents, what are they called? I just said their name. The insurrection. They're going around doing 9/11s all the time, blowing up, gas stations and At one point, they fly a bunch of taxis full of explosives into like a star-faring, basically a space bus, and they kill like 2,000 people, just for a move. Anyway, and Sergeant Johnson, he starts off on his, his aunt just died. He did a mission where he accidentally got a bunch of people killed trying to save a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes off to train a bunch of people on a backwater planet in Harvest, agricultural planet. So if you filmed this, you could film this in the Midwest. You could literally film this entire thing surrounded by corn or wheat or anything like that, and it would be so cheap.
And it'd be better than a desert.
Exactly, much better than a desert planet. And they use the Covenant sparingly. You could probably do it entirely CG for their scenes. It humanizes the Covenant. The main character for the Covenant in this book is a grunt who's a missionary who's literally like...
Yeah, you told me about that, yeah.
Just a decent, honest little grunt who's like, yeah, come on, let's go, guys. Let's go convert some people to the great journey. He's like an honest dude.
Yeah.
And there's all this political stuff and self-serving assholes all around him of different races, and he's just like... Ugh. And he's got a little engineer friend. The engineers from ODST?
Yeah.
And the little engineer friend is like just the sweetest dude who's trying to act as like a mediator between the humans and the Covenant. And he's like, no, stop. And it's like, oh, man. They could have had something beautiful, They want to get the whole... SJWs don't want the underdog thing. They see themselves as the underdog. They want the whole misunderstood, marginalized group to be held up a bit and more humanized, personalized. And they could do that with this.
Yeah, because in Halo, those are the more marginalized, in terms of the story in the game. Like,
the
little grunts and stuff.
Oh, man.
That's...
Yeah.
That's chef's kiss perfection for SJWs.
They were basically enslaved.
Yeah.
They're little slave soldiers, poor things.
Poor little guys just always running around not wanting to get shot. And I mercilessly killed them and...
Absolutely. And beat
meleeed them. Yeah. All that blue blood.
Yeah. Oh. But hey, they had a rebellion, the Grunts had a rebellion in the Covenant, and they fought so hard that even the elites respect them now. And that's another thing, the elites, they respect humans at least, they kill them, but they're still like, dude, these humans, they're like...
Yeah, they know what's up.
They're hardcore. Why are we fighting these dudes? Anyway, but yeah, so you've got filming in the Midwest, cheap as chips.
Yeah.
Tons of military bases to work with, tons of military men to work with, and it's just they could have done so much,
I think what I would do, again, I would make Halo 1 the game, first season. First part of it would be opening, introducing Chief and Cortana, this strange Halo ring, which makes sense because the show's Halo, and so it's focused around this object going to the planet and starting to discover, what are the Covenant doing here? What's all this sort of stuff? And then halfway through the season turns basically into a horror with the flood, and then it's just basically like a...
Get the hell out of there.
Yeah, like an Aliens...
I felt like a bit
alien type.
1/3 of the last bit,
Yeah, like...
It was halfway through too early. Maybe be asking questions about what is this place.
Yeah, what is this place? Make it more mysterious and creepy, and then just the final act being trying to get out there and blowing up the Halo and stuff. That's the first season. Second season, I basically do Halo 2 1 for 1 because that thing is perfect. Yeah. and then I'll explore, like in Halo 2, the Covenant and the Elite and the Arbiter.
Yeah.
And I probably, obviously, in these shows, I would, change things around, look at the pacing and the story, what was missed in the games that we can add into the story here.
Yeah.
That would make it more involved.
And going off that, like, we have seen Master Chief do these in the games, right? It didn't take that long in the games, did it?
No.
Because obviously... So, here's another thing. Have that stuff. Basically, not a one-to-one refilming, but, like, showing what Master Chief did. But on the sidelines of that, show what everyone else did.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
If you got a bigger budget, you need more time, you've got more episodes.
Yep.
Then put in that filler.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if I was limited, I would just basically make the first Halo game.
Yeah, because Master Chief was never the main character.
No.
You were the main character, and everything else around happened to you as your own. It's not like a Mass Effect though, where the story is set.
Yeah.
And I feel like 343 has fundamentally misunderstood Master Chief's role in all of the Halo games.
They just missed the entire point of Halo.
Yeah, what do you call it? You know what? You know the guy I keep talking about, Frankie O'Connor, the guy who I do not like him. I'm sure he's a fine person in real life, but he's made awful decisions. Anyway, and he's an SJW. He said, we hired people who hated Halo for Halo 4. And they've stayed around.
Look, that ideology, okay, it makes sense in certain aspects, okay? For example, if you're trying to push the medium in terms of gameplay, for example, if you want, like RTS games, I think are a great example of, if you want to make a really good RTS that's broadly accepted by people, get people who don't like the genre, and then you can have a discourse in the company to say, okay, why don't you like this game? What aspects of it frustrate you? And then you can help level that out. When you're doing things in terms of story and everything, and say we need people who hate Halo, and hate's a strong word, I think.
That's what he said, though.
I don't think it should be people who hate Halo. I think it should be people who may not like it, who have problems with it, people who outwardly despise Halo and hate it for what it is. That's a bad decision. To find people who have issues or want to fix things in the company or what they're making, that makes sense, I think. But to say we hire people who hate this thing to basically subvert it into something else, I think that's evil.
I agree with that last bit, but everything else you said, I basically disagree with. For the RTS thing, you're allowed to have your opinion. I'm just saying this is my opinion on the fact. I feel like RTS games should be catered for the people who are into RTS. Just like people who like Halo. I don't think you should be like, the people who don't buy our games, let's make a game for them. They'll buy other games.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The only thing that changes is if you take away the Halo from Halos, if you don't have a Halo game now, you've got something else. Meanwhile, there's all the other alternatives out there.
Yeah. So...
But I see what you mean. We should be trying to get more people involved into...
Yeah, finding different... Or even, for example, it might not have to be making the Halo game. It could be, okay, what other mediums can we use to get people into Halo to then go buy the game? They did it with Halo Wars a little bit. They, made a different subgenre of Halo. Finding other ways or different, prequels, sequels, other ways to branch out into Halo, I think would be a better method than just finding this thing people hate and then letting them get little grubby hands on it and touch it.
Yeah, it's not a good idea, and it didn't work. It obviously hasn't worked out because Halo's never been more culturally irrelevant, apart from, any time in the last.
Legit, ever after Halo 3, ODST
and Reach. After
that. Reach, even then, people knew that Bungie was out, so people were kind of like, what's the point of going back to Reach?
Yeah, they've got the player numbers for since Halo 3 until Halo 4.
Yeah,
and. So Halo 3 is like this and then down, right? Halo Reach is like this and then down.
Yeah.
Halo 4 is straight down.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
So...
but back to the TV show.
Yeah, I think... And here's the other thing too. I would have separate scenes with the Covenant and the humans doing their own thing, but whenever that they are in combat together, I want that to be the most gritty, violent... Because that's... I want to show to the audience that the Covenant are evil with the humans because the fact that they're just basically murdering these people because of their
religious
race.
ideology,
their ideology. And also showing how hard the Marines and the UNSC have to fight against the Covenant to make them bad.
And you could get really cool, and that's a mistake that this show made, right? Is the only way they show how the Spartans are is, they can do some kicks. For some reason, a Spartan kills two elites with a pipe
Yeah.
for some reason, and bullets only work when a Spartan's shooting it. You know, but like imagine this, right? Halo CE, snowy area.
Mm-hmm.
Humans are like in cover, fighting, failing, like about to get overrun, and Master Chief just sprints past all of them, just takes them all out. You know?
That
like,
would be sick.
Yeah, to demonstrate the difference in levels of power.
Yeah,
and you know, it's they've just gotten people who have. I don't even think they didn't look at the games. I think they didn't even think about what they were making. They didn't even think about it for a second.
You know what I think?
What?
Well, because I was looking on the history about basically who was making this garbage, because I was like, who in their right mind would make this?
Who would do such a thing?
And they've got people... So Steven Spielberg has been trying to make this thing for like 13 years, and his company did help produce it. I think what happened was they've been trying to make a decent Halo TV show or movie for so long, and they kept getting rejected, and it was... You know, I reckon they have had things in the background that we haven't seen. Like we saw obviously the opening of the movie that was brilliant. I reckon they made other stuff that was just as good. But no one greenlit it. And so they thought, okay, to get this out, we have to subvert it and make it as un-Halo as we can, while still having the fan service in there. And now we've got it. That's the only thing that was able to get through the filters of
fan
all the higher-ups. Fan service as in like the shield recharging.
Yeah, there was that.
But like
and there was little crappy first person segments. But that's the only part of the two.
Exactly. They put in those things so fans feel like, oh cool. But everything else they had to subvert it and change it because they've been trying for 13 years. I reckon by this point Spielberg's just like, you know what? I just want to get this bloody thing out of my draft folder into my, Academy Award or whatever. So he just pushed it out.
You know who would have done a better job than Steven Spielberg?
Who?
James Cameron. The guy who did Avatar. The guy keeps making Vietnam in the future. So let him do it with that. Yeah, let him do it with that. He'd do a great job because he knows how to do the dynamic between Marines.
Yeah, but he's still working on Avatar 2.
Is he? Ah, that's a shame. He should be doing a Halo thing.
But he's been working on Avatar 2 for a very long time. It's been 10 years.
He knows how to make a simple, easy to follow movie with all the right story beats, great special effects, run-of-the-mill, plucky characters. Like, he knows how to make a movie.
I reckon he would have done a great job, but unfortunately those who have the IP and are in charge of making...
Are retarded?
I just... See, I reckon they know the game, they know the books. But because they know that, they want to step away from that as far as possible.
Yeah. I don't know though, man. There's a lot of stories of creators who, they are given something to adapt and they just don't even look at it. So, yeah. Other than that, what about cast?
Cast, I would...
Master Chief's voice, Steve Downes.
I would not take off... Okay, here's the other time I take off the mask is kind of what 343 did in episode... No, sorry. In Halo 4.
Yeah, where it just showed his eyes.
Yeah. I would have parts where he takes off his helmet and you see him sitting in the chair. You see the back of his head.
I'd be okay with back of his head.
Back of his head.
Yep. Even slight side, but never the actual full face.
But even then, when I do, it's going to just be him, leaning back to go to sleep. Like, it's not going to be anything like how they did in this episode, where it's like, he has to convey emotion, so he had to,
even though
show his face.
No emotion.
He was so unemotive, okay?
Yeah.
Chief was more emotive with his head tilting like this and using his hand than the actor was, because his eyebrows didn't even move. He was like, I don't know. Like, he looked like the old Xbox games where the mouths are just like little puppet things. Like, that's how he talked. So I would be fine showing Chief's face, like, having thought about it now, but when he's in combat, when he's in the mission, helmet on, have the voice, like, I would do voiceover just to have the original
Steve Downes,
Steve Downes, because he is Chief's voice. It's like with Optimus Prime.
And what do you call it? Who's the lady who does Cortana again, her voice? Jen Taylor, she's a stage actress. Just have her play Halsey and Cortana. Just give her a grey wig and she can play Halsey, no problem.
Yep.
You don't need a British actress, so stupid.
Also, can we just point out the fact how... Actually, you've kind of talked about this in the other video, but with the silver timeline.
Oh yeah, silver timeline for Silver Team.
So dumb! Yeah. Can we just point that out there, okay? So dumb that every single one of these shows, whether it's Paramount Plus or on Amazon, they all have to make a different timeline, make it non-canon from the other stuff for it to be relevant and to work well. Can you imagine, okay, if they did the Harry Potter books and movies. And they didn't base it off the books. They said, look, we've got Harry Potter here. He's the chosen one, but everything else is kind of,
different
completely
and changed. Different.
Like,
now Hermione's black. Oh.
Well, even
now Dumbledore's gay.
Again, it's so dumb. You have the source material there.
Yeah.
The only reason why you're changing it is either because you're too lazy to even look at the content,
or too arrogant.
And guess what? You haven't made anything good so far. Yeah. So we don't expect anything better from you. The whole reason why I enjoyed the violent scene was because I was like, whoa, bad characters are dead.
Yeah.
Well, mostly. One of them is still alive. And
that's what you get for listening to rock music and getting high and having premarital relations.
And I was just...
Woman's win again.
I was just like, thank goodness it's not just all talking, because the only thing I'd heard about the show was that it's all just blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
It's nonsense. It's not even good politics nonsense.
But that's the thing, you can make stuff interesting.
Oh, definitely. Especially in Halo.
And it doesn't have to be like political intrigue. You can just have good characters.
But instead it was, I thought we were going to kill her. No, we're not. But wait, what if she dies? But we didn't want to kill her? It was so convoluted.
And it was completely nonsensical as well.
Nonsensical.
Yeah.
Chad's favourite word, and now my favourite word as well, because it is nonsensical. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, do we wrap up now? Those have been our thoughts.
Yeah.
We can keep talking about it, but that's just something we... as in, we can do more videos on this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But that's just something we were talking about, and we thought, you know what, let us know what your thoughts are.
Tell us what changes would you make for a Halo show?
Yeah.
Please use dot points.
You're a director, producer, you own the IP. What are you doing?
Yeah. Put it in a brief list for us, because when I'm reading comments, I don't read...
We skip paragraphs.
Yeah, we skip paragraphs, but if you do dot points, like this change, this change, this change, stuff like that, and then maybe a small little paragraph, I'll read that. But nothing too meaty.
Yeah, no essays, please.
Yeah. So, thanks for watching. I'm way too into Halo and have a really bad nostalgia complex. This guy doesn't. He just likes it when teenagers die.
When they're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, when they do the wrong thing, dire consequences.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Okay.